Welcome, everybody. Now, do you feel that, draw or that itch to step into a new version of yourself, to start living from a different place that has more fulfillment, more happiness? Maybe you're using your gifts and superpowers to make a greater impact in people's lives. Maybe it's just showing up differently because you want to be living a better life, whatever that may look like. But for some reason, like most of us are waiting for life to change, to show up in that way, to start being the person that we want to become. We're waiting for the right timing or whatever that may look like. Now, that's a problem because most of us have to learn it the hard way, and I'm hoping you won't have to. As a parent, as an entrepreneur, as someone who's been in the corporate sea of cubicles, and you may fall into any one of those buckets, you can't wait for life to change. What you need is you just need a framework. You need some sort of a daily ritual that rewires you to start showing up as the person that you're meant to be more intentional about things. Because here's the thing, you may be a lot like me. I used to think that I had to maybe blow my life up to feel that thing, to feel alive again, to go to where I wanted to be, whether it was like I had to go quit my job, or I would have to move to a different state, or just start completely over. But the weird thing is, if you're like me, I mean, you've got mortgages, you've got kids in school, responsibilities that are stacked high. Like, starting over isn't an option. Like, no matter how trapped you may feel, and I was there, what that is that's living with this idea of what's called the someday syndrome, where you're just waiting for the right moment to finally transform, finally step into who it is that you're meant to be, waiting for the kids to be older, waiting for work to calm down, waiting for life to somehow make sense, to show up as the person that you know you're capable of being, to start making the changes that you need to make, But here's the part that probably scared me the most. Like, the years just kept passing by and nothing changed. And if you reflect, you're going to see that a lot of times when you talk about the things that should, I'll wait until this happens, when the kids get a little bit older, when things come, and those milestones keep moving on you. I know I became really good at being trying to be, the person everyone else needed me to be. I was in this performance mode, right? I was looking to perfect the performance for them, while the real stuff that I wanted to make an impact on, it just sat on the shelf, buried under all the obligation. So I know I was living in constant reaction mode. And you may feel that, where you're giving from depletion, you're running on empty, and you're maybe responding to whoever is yelling the loudest at that moment. So then there's this realization that's going to come. I know it did for me. It changed so many things. Life doesn't change because you wait for it to change, right? Life changes because you just start infusing simple, intentional moments into the life that you're already living. The most powerful transformation doesn't come from changing your circumstances. It comes from changing the intention behind them. You don't need a new job. You don't need a new life. You don't need anything like that. You just need new intention behind the one that you already have, where you're living. And so this is going to be a simple daily ritual that just takes 10 minutes. That's it. Some morning reflections, some 5 areas that we're going to focus on intention, and then, scheduling those, and then checking in at the end of the night. We're talking, like I said, 10 minutes in your day. Everything else is going to be part of what you're already doing. And guess what? For me, it's worked. For so many people like you, parents, entrepreneurs, people who are working away in their 9-to-5s, it works. The energy comes back. The relationships get deeper. The work that you're doing feels meaningful and aligned again. Once again, you say you don't need to escape your life. You need to have more intention in it. And there's tons of data and research and stuff that backs this up, that when you start your day with some sort of conscious intention, instead of reacting over obligation, your brain is literally rewritten, And there's tons of studies that show that intentional morning practices increase your prefrontal cortex activity by 25%. And if you don't know, that's the part of the brain for decision making, for emotional regulation, for your authentic self-expression. People who set daily intentions report that it's 34 or 35% higher life satisfaction and make decisions faster with more confidence. And so that's what I want to dive into today. I want to help you unpack that so that you can see it, you can implement it. How do you stop waiting for life to change and just start living with the intention right now? You're going to discover how to align your authentic self, your gifts, and transform the life that you have right now from the inside out with the busy schedule you have. So I like to cover all these topics, and then we're going to dive deep into the 5 areas, the 5 intentions you're going to set, and then I'll provide you the daily framework you're going to use to put that into motion. And so if you just need to understand the topic a little bit better, some people that's all they need, then they watch this first part and they're good to go. But I'd invite you to stick around for the full video, because there's going to be so many things that you can take away from that. Now, if you're new here, please let me just say welcome to the Giver Method channel. So glad you're able to be here. My name is Jake. If you're back for another video, welcome back. Glad to see you. Now, let me ask you a couple things that might hit home, for you. have you been stuck in that idea of that someday syndrome where you're waiting for the right time to make the change? Knowing that you can't just blow everything up, but you can't keep living the way that you're living, or maybe you've spent years becoming really, really good at being the person that everyone else needs in that performance mode, like I was talking about. Or maybe you're just at this point giving from depletion, trying to do it all, but you're running on fumes. Or maybe you just feel like life has lost its spark. Like you're stuck in obligation mode, waiting for something external to shift so that you finally can live again. And if any of that hits home, then hear me, you're not stuck. There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to demolish your life or anything. You don't need to take drastic changes to do things. You just, you of course don't need perfect conditions to do that at all. The life you're living, in the mess you're living, you can do this. You need to bring intention into the moments that you already have, because the truth is that the biggest results don't come from doing more. They come from being more present in what you're already doing. Now, what we're going to talk about today is all going to be grounded in my book, The Giver Method. Now, you can get it right now on Amazon. There's a link. I'll put the link in the description, because right now it's on sale. You can get it for $2 to $10, depending on the version you get. I highly recommend you get yourself a copy. If you get this, not only is it going to dive deeper into what we're talking about here, but it's going to dive deeper into finding your gifts and superpowers, creating more impact, and intention, providing more value for the people around you, so you have better engagement, with people. Your relationships improve. You live happier, more fulfilled life. I mean, you could go through this and have changes in place before we get to the holidays. You could have the best 2026 of your life, best year you could possibly have in 2026 by implementing these. So maybe you or someone needs this. So maybe just pause the video, go to Amazon, get yourself a copy, or use the link below. Get yourself a copy. There's a bunch of other resources down there you can check out now. Like I said, when I realized I didn't need to change my whole life, just set new intentions, man, that changed for me. And so let's talk about this 10-minute daily ritual that you're going to go through. There's 5 simple areas that you're going to focus on, okay? From your authentic self to activating your gifts to helping you live with purpose, not performance. Once again, it's not about any sort of a hustle or forcing positive thinking. I don't believe in that. It's just about the quality of your attention that you're giving, how you infuse the meaning and connection and purpose back into the life that you're already living. And so as we cover these, they're designed for the people like you. They're for people who can't burn it all down, start over. The parents, entrepreneurs, people working away, but also want to make real and sustainable change in their lives that fits their responsibilities. And so if you're ready to step into that, then you're in the right place. Like I said, everything we're talking about today is going to be directly from the Giver Method, so you can get yourself a copy on Amazon. You can also go follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, under the handle of the Giver Method. Feel free to check out thegivermethod.com for free resources like our survival mode assessment, as well as get on our newsletter. And then if you need more personal attention, you want some one-on-one coaching in this sort of an area, check out the link below about the one-on-one coaching program. Watch the video, and maybe if it makes sense for us to book a call, you can book a call. And then, of course, if you have a team, a podcast, a stage, an event, whatever, where your audience, this message would serve them, let's talk about how we could bring it to them in a very real way. There's a link about speaking and podcasting below. And, of course, do all the YouTube things that we like to do. Hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, like the video, and comment your thoughts as we go. Now, with that, I'm now going to dive deep into these 5 areas, these 5 intentions you can set, and then the framework you can put into place that's really going to change your life. So I invite you to stick around so we can really show you how this is going to make an impact for you. And so the first one is first area, principle, idea, whatever intention you want to focus on, is choosing to be real in one specific moment today. So this is what we call the authenticity reset, because most people spend years becoming experts at being what everyone else needs, right? You may have been referred to as the reliable one, the strong one, I'm fine, whatever. I just get along with people. But underneath that polished version, that's not you. The real you is tired of performing, is tired of putting on the show. And so this first intention is simple. We have to be yourself on purpose, just once a day, not all day, not perfectly, just once. Because one authentic moment can start rewiring everything for you. This authenticity intention creates it's a morning practice where you just ask yourself what would a real me do today? And then you just identify one specific place in your life that you can do that. You're not trying to be authentic 24/7. You're practicing it you're practicing the intentionality in a single interaction and building the muscle as you show up. So the first thing is you always start intentions in the morning. Before you grab your phone, before you do anything, those first 90 seconds that you're actually awake, ask yourself, what would the real me do today? Not the version of you that's trying to impress the boss or keep people happy or hold things together. The real and grounded you, the honest one that's buried under all the expectations. Maybe it's you're going to speak up in a meeting instead of nodding along. Maybe it's saying no to that obligation. Maybe it's putting your phone away and actually playing with your kids on the floor. Maybe it's admitting to a friend like, hey, honestly, I've been struggling lately. Whatever it is, write it down. Today, the real me would blank. That's your authenticity intention. You've got it set now. And now the second part of that is like, you have to make it specific. We have to make it real. Like, you're going to choose one specific moment where you're going to do that. So at 3 p.m. in the team meeting, I'm going to share this honest concern that I've been staying quiet on. At dinner tonight, I'm going to put my phone away and actually listen to what we're talking about. At lunch, I'm going to tell a friend how I really feel instead of performing like I'm fine. Once again, if you put it on your calendar, literally, this is how that intention becomes an action, because it's on your calendar. You show up in that sort of way. You're not hoping to be authentic. You're planning on it. And then track your energy. As you do that, did you feel energized, open, grounded? Like, did you feel more like your authentic self? Or did you feel drained, tense, fake, like you were performing again? And just keep simple notes on that. If it was energized you, give it an E. If it drained you, give it a D. And after a week, look for the patterns. You're going to see where you're showing up as yourself versus where you're pretending. If you track all these times throughout your day where you're either performing or not performing, you're going to notice real quick where the energy is coming from and where it's being drained. And then, of course, every good intention has a nighttime reflection where before bed, you should ask yourself, when did I show up as my real self today? When did I perform? And write it down without judgment, just the awareness of what it is. And then think to yourself, well, what's the one shift I can make tomorrow? Maybe it's having a follow-up conversation you avoided. Maybe it's keeping that phone in the other room, so you're not tempted to grab it. Each reflection builds the muscle, because the pretending, the performance is exhausting. And it's the fastest route to your burnout. But one honest and grounded, real moment a day, like that changes everything for you, because you stop performing, you start being present. You can relax. Your people around you can feel that. Once again, that's not overhauling your life to be real. It's just starting with being one authentic moment, and then you build on it from there. That's how you transform yourself, one small step at a time, not through some big reinvention, but the small brave acts that you can do one at a time, one today. That's all it would be. And then the second area, the second intention, principle thing you want to focus on is using what comes naturally to you to lift up someone else. So this is all about your gifts and your superpowers and how you activate them. Because the stuff that feels natural to you, you barely notice it. There's those things that just come, they're so easy to you, right? You shrug it off oh, well, everyone can do that, right? But the truth is, most people out there, they find it hard to do those things, right? People are out there trying to find their purpose when it's already built into them. It's already built into you right now. It's in the way that you simplify the chaos, or you listen without judgment, that you spot the patterns people miss, or make people feel safe and heard. The problem is that because it's effortless, we don't think it counts. And so this daily intention flips the story, where each day we're going to pick one small way to use your natural strengths, your gifts, your superpowers. Not when you have more time, not when you've perfected it, but today. What's the way today that you can do that? One just simple, intentional act of service, through something that already flows through you. And so once again, first thing you're going to do is you're going to do morning gift spotting, where each morning you're just going to take that moment and ask yourself, when do I feel the most like me? What am I doing in those moments? Those are your clues. Maybe you feel alive when you're breaking down something really complex because you can figure it out, or encouraging someone who's doubting themselves, or you're organizing something for more clarity. Whatever it is, write down your gift. If you need help with it, that's a great reason to go get the Giver Method, because the G in Giver is all about your gifts. So my gift, is, and you write it down. And then don't overthink it. Whatever comes naturally to you. Now we got to put that gift into action with really intention. So you choose one person and one way to use that today. So, hey, I'm going to use my gift of simplifying to help my teammates stuck on that project. I'm going to use my gift of encouragement to remind my teenager how proud I am of the effort they're putting in. I'm going to use a gift of listening to give my spouse full attention for 5 minutes tonight, whatever, and then put it on your calendar. Once again, that's the point. Then it becomes real. As your day rolls on, every time you hit something that feels heavy or draining, ask yourself, well, how could I approach this maybe with one of my gifts? Instead of, I have to go do that meeting, it's well, how could I use a gift of asking deeper questions to help the group see differently? Instead of man, I have to help with homework again. It's no, I get to use my gift of simplifying things to actually make things make sense. You're doing the same tasks, but with a completely different energy. Obligation turns into more of an opportunity. And then in the evening, as you reflect at the night, you're going to sit down and think, well, how did I use my strengths to serve someone today? And what impact did it have? Write it out. Track these moments for a few weeks. You're going to start seeing there's all this evidence that your ordinary is actually extraordinary, making this massive impact for people. Okay? Now, the biggest piece here, like your gifts, they're not meant to be stored until you feel ready. You're right? They're meant to flow through you right where you are right now. So one gift used daily can change things for you. It turns contribution into like second nature, and it really does make you like say like, hey, I know what my potential is, and I'm living it. I'm a part of that. That's being way more intentional. That's changing your life and changing the life of those around you. Now, the third area we want to focus on is like acting like the person you're becoming. So this is how you use your future self as a filter. You know, because people never realize this. Like, you don't become the future version of you by waiting to feel ready. You become by practicing the habits that they would have today. And most of us think like, I'm calmer, like once I'm calmer, once I'm more confident, once life slows down, then I'll show up differently. Then I'll be able to blank. But identity doesn't work that way. You can change by acting like the version of you that you're growing into right now in real life. Like, you don't need it just in your head. And so this daily intention is about asking yourself one powerful question, like, you know, what would the future version of me, the version I'm wanting to become, do in this situation? And then actually living that answer before you feel qualified. And so in the morning, you're going to do this future you visualization. You're going to spend, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds in the morning where you're going to, picture yourself 12 months from now. Not in a fantasy way, but like grounded and possible, like seeing the version of you that's calmer or more confident or more connected or leading with presence, whatever, and ask like, cool, how do they treat people? How are they handling stress? What kind of energy are they bringing to the room? And then you just write out the statement of like, hey, the parent, the leader, the person, the whatever I'm becoming is someone who, and you put out that quality. The parent I'm becoming stays calm when things get caught. The leader I'm becoming listens and empowers, instead of micromanaging. Now you've got this identity anchor for the day. And then, of course, then you can turn that vision into intention where you look at, basically you're going to turn it into how you can live it throughout your day. Where you're going to swap out the I'll try for the I'm the kind of person who. So instead of the like, hey, I'll try to not yell at my kids. It's like, hey, I'm the kind of parent who takes a breath before responding. Not I'll delegate better. It's like, hey, I'm the kind of leader who trusts my team. There's a difference there. One comes from effort and one comes from your identity. And then you can use this as a decision filter as well. Throughout the day, you can pause and if you hit like a stressful situation or a familiar pattern and say, like, what would the future version of me, what would the version I'm becoming do right now? What would your kid snaps back at you? Oh gosh, they're going to breathe before they react. Coworker drops the ball. It's like, well, you're going to respond with curiosity, not criticism, like whatever. Like, we're not pretending to be someone else. You're just letting your future self like borrow the wheel for a little bit. And show your present self, how you can, be driving differently, how you can be showing up differently. And then in the evening, think of like this as like a proud of check-in where you're thinking to yourself, like, what did I do today that my future self would be proud of me for doing? Where did I slip into my old patterns? And write it down, celebrate the wins and use the other as data points of what you could do differently tomorrow. Because if you watch those patterns every day, the gap of who you like been and who you want to become is going to get smaller and smaller. Once you like this sort of one intentional choice in a day, like that's all it would take. And you close that gap, you start becoming that person way faster than you'd expect. Now that takes us into the fourth area. You have to set an intention that you're going to ask for help because like strengths include community. So this is a vulnerability shift and a vulnerability intention, But we struggle with that. Somewhere along the way, we learned like needing support meant we were weak, that strong people can carry it all, hold it together. They smile, they just figure things out, right? They tough through, they hustle. But the truth is like carrying everything by yourself isn't strength. Like that's survival. It's exhaustion. So this daily intention is about saying like, I'm going to be something different. I'm going to be human, not try to be superhuman. Like it's about asking for help before you hit a wall, sharing some sort of a struggle instead of hiding it, remembering that connection, not isolation, is actually what sustains you. When you choose vulnerability and you set an intention around that, you're not burdening people. You're giving them permission to show up as human too. You're giving them permission to serve you using their gifts and superpowers. And so what you want to do is there's this morning vulnerability check where once again, before the day gets away from you, it's like, well, great. What am I carrying alone today that I can ask for support with? And be really specific. Maybe you need help understanding a project or someone to take your kids for an hour just so you can breathe or someone to just listen. Write it down. Today, I'll ask this person, fill in the blank, for help with this specific thing. I'm going to ask my spouse I'm going to tell my spouse I'm overwhelmed and ask them, if they could take bedtime. I'm going to admit to my manager I need clarity on a project, not pretending I've got it all together. I'm going to text a friend and ask if they have time to talk because I'm holding too much in. Once again, it's a small act, but honestly, it shifts your whole day. And then you start small and build. Vulnerability still feels often like we're skydiving without a parachute. So we want to start super simple. Think like you're building a muscle. Week 1, we're going to do a bunch of maybe low stakes vulnerability. I'm going to say, hey, I don't know once a week. I'm going to admit confusion or uncertainty. That's it. The second week, you're going to maybe go from a low stakes to a medium stakes sort of thing where it's man, I'm going to share a struggle with someone, safe. Hey, I've been feeling overwhelmed. I've been having this experience. By maybe week 3, you're going to go a little bit higher stakes and ask for real help. Hey, I could use support on this. Can you help me? And then by the 4th week, it's going to be that you put this into some sort of sustained practice where asking for help is a rhythm, not a rescue plan, that you don't feel guilty for, that you actually find the right people to surround yourself with. More often you practice it, the less scary it's going to get. And then we talked about it a moment ago, there's that idea of this is human, not superhuman. And you got to have a pause in there where any moment of your day when you catch yourself white knuckling through something, you're grinding, you feel like you're in that almost burnout. Am I trying to be a superhuman right now? What would it look like to be human instead? The superhuman's going to be I got it all together. The human's man, I'm struggling and maybe I could ask for support. Choose the human version. Every time you do, you're building trust. Once again, it's not a weakness in any means. And as you reflect at the end of the night, this is a courage check-in. When did I show up with my humanity today? Where did I maybe keep pretending? And write it down. Celebrate the first one. Celebrate the good thing. And then think about, tomorrow I'll choose differently. You do that for 30 days, and you're going to realize that vulnerability doesn't weaken any relationships or make you look weak. It actually creates deeper relationships that have more meaning and impact. You can't carry everything out alone. There's no noble cause to that. If you just have one moment of honesty a day, one time you ask for help, a conversation where you let someone else see the real you, you're going to break out of isolation that's quietly draining you and create the kind of community that actually fills you back up. And then the 5th intention that we're going to talk about, then we'll get into the framework. The 5th one is about making someone's day better right where you are. So this intention is the one-person ripple. And it's something most of us miss. You don't need some crazy big platform. You don't need a following or a perfect moment to make a difference. You just need to notice the person right in front of you. And so this daily impact intention is simple. Instead of waiting to create big change someday, create something small and meaningful. Create small and meaningful impact today. Stop saying, hey, once I have more time, and start being who needs something that I already have? Because meaning isn't built through these grand gestures. It is built through small intentional moments that matter more than you would ever realize. And so you just start there because you're the only person with your combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, and people are waiting for you to realize that so that you can make an impact in their lives. So in the morning, what I want you to do, pick one person, just one, whose day you want to intentionally make better. Ask yourself, who in my world needs something that I can give? Maybe it's your child struggling with something. Maybe it's your spouse is carrying something extra. Maybe it's a coworker or whatever. And then write it down. Today, I'm going to make blank person's day better by doing blank. Just one person, one intentional act. That's it. And then match it to your gifts. We talked about earlier, use your gift of encouragement in there. I'm going to use my gift of listening. I'm going to use my, problem solving, whatever it is. When your impact flows through your gifts and superpowers, they don't feel forced. It feels feels effortless, and it builds so much energy in you. And then think about it this way: the person right in front of you practice, you do this through your day. You try hey, the person in front of me right now, is somebody's entire world. They mean something. What's one way I can make an impact in their world? The person in front of you isn't a distraction. They're an opportunity for you to make an impact. And in the evening, as you reflect, before bed, you just look at it and think to yourself, well, whose day did I make better? What ripple might that moment create? And write it down. You're going to start to see these patterns, the small moments where the ordinary ones are creating some of the deepest change for people. Most people are waiting for life to give them permission to make a difference. You don't need that permission. Just go do it right now. You don't need to reach thousands of people to matter. If you just reach the one person a day, that's it. One intentional act. That ripples. If you do that for 30 days, think about it that way. Man, how far that could travel. So you don't need a new life to create meaning. You just need to show up right where you are as the person you already are. So with that, we've got these 5 intentions. Now let's talk about how do you let's talk about how that ritual, the framework behind it. How you make these real through your morning, your calendar, and your evening, because there's a big change. It doesn't come through these massive overhauls. It's the small things, the small intentional moments repeated. So this 10-minute ritual is how you make all of these intentions and actually live them, right? Without adding anything extra to your plate. So the first one is always going to be the morning reflection. Before I touch my phone, 5 minutes of quiet where I'm just going to think to myself, okay, authentically, what would the real me do today? Gifts. What gift would I use to help somebody? My future self, who am I becoming? What would they do in this scenario? The vulnerability, how can I ask for help today? And the impact, who's the one person? Write them down. There's just 5 commitments, like 5 minutes, that's it. You're not trying to fix your whole life in the morning. You're just trying to settle the tone a little bit. And then part 2 is the intention reality bridge. Throughout the day, here's where most of us are going to fall short. We set an intention, but we never create the space for it. So right after the morning reflection, when you have those ideas, schedule those intentions. Give them a home on your calendar. I'm going to block out time for that authentic connection with this person. I'm going to schedule using my gift to help this person with this task. I'm going to calendar the practice future myself, during this situation. I'm going to find the ways I can create the energy. I'm going to set a reminder to ask one person for help. I'm going to schedule this action I'm going to do for this person to create impact. Whatever those are, put them on your calendar. That's how the intention becomes impact. You're not waiting for the moments, you're creating them. And then the evening download. Always asking yourself before the end of your day, you're taking a few minutes, 5 minutes, and being all right, I'm going to go through this. I'm not going to judge myself. I'm just going to answer, did I honor these intentions today? Where did I nail it? Where did I miss it? What do I need to adjust tomorrow? That's it. Simple reflection with no guilt, no perfection, just the awareness. That's how the growth happens. In the small spaces, you track that for 30 days and make that become a ritual of narrowing that gap of who you are and who you're becoming. There's going to be all sorts of patterns where your natural intentions, they just come to you. And you'll be able to see which intentions maybe need more attention. Once again, I don't want to add more to your plate. This is about infusing all of this into the life that you're already living. When you start your day with clarity, you schedule those intentions, your brain, and then at the end of the day, you reflect it, your brain's going to rewire itself to notice these things. You're going to connect more deeply. You're going to feel more alive. Just 10 minutes a day, that's all it takes. It's a simple framework. You do it for 30 days, you're going to notice deeper relationships, more energy. Work feels more meaningful. Your life didn't get lighter because of it. It got lighter because you just intentionally made it that way. And so here's the truth. Life doesn't change because you wait for it to change. Life changes because you start just showing up with intention that things that you already have. The biggest transformation doesn't come from blowing everything up and finding perfect conditions. It's changing the way that you move through the moments that you already live. Right? You don't need a new job. You don't need a new schedule, a new version of yourself. You just need a new level of intention behind what you're doing. So pick one of the things we talked about. I would love if you could do all 5 of them. But pick one thing: authenticity, using your gifts, bringing calm to the situation, right? Asking for help, simplifying someone's day, whatever. That's how it begins. Not with pressure, but just practice. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, take the 5 minutes and schedule pick those things you want to do. Schedule them, reflect on them. And then at the end of the day, how do you do? And then set it again. Because when you start your day with this conscious intention instead of the reactive obligation, everything shifts. Like I said, your brain rewires, you get more energy, better relationships, everything feels more aligned. I promise you, it's going to make a massive impact in your life and everyone around you's life. Now, if you want to dive deeper into these sort of things, that's where you want to go on Amazon, get yourself a copy of The Giver Method. The link's in the description. Like I said, get it while it's on sale. You also go to thegivermethod.com, check out the survival mode assessment, check out the free resources or get on the newsletter list. You learn about how your gifts, you can use them intentionally without having to burn everything down. And if you want someone to walk you through that sort of a thing one-on-one, check out the one-on-one coaching link. Maybe it makes sense for us to jump on a call, discuss what that could look like. And then if you have a podcast, an event, a stage, an audience where they need to hear this message, let's talk about how we can bring it to them in a very real way. And then before you go, if you haven't already done those YouTube things, liking, subscribing, ringing the bell for notifications, commenting what stuck with you, please do so now. Just remember this, if anything else, the person you're capable of becoming isn't waiting for someday. They're waiting in the intention that you choose to bring today. Just one morning, doing these 5 intentions, 10 minutes total, no demolition, just transformation, no adding things, just more intention. Start tomorrow. Your life is already waiting for you to show up with purpose, and there are people waiting for you to step into who it is that you're meant to be so you can make the impact that only you can make. The universe will pay you back with all sorts of opportunities when you do that. I promise you that. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Check out the other videos on the channel. There may be other things that resonate with you, and hopefully we'll catch you in one of our upcoming videos. Have a great rest of your day.